Så, välkomna då till dagens webbinar på ämnet LNG och lite kryogena applikationer och diskussioner runt det. Jag har Ralf med mig idag från företaget HEROSE, ett företag som kommer att presentera sig alldeles strax och ska hålla sig webbinariet. Jag ska presentera lite snabbt här då vad vi ska göra idag. Vi har en kort introduktion vilka vi på Ramen är. Sen kommer Ralf att presentera då HEROSE och olika typer av ventillösningar för LNG-applikationer. Han kommer att prata lite om olika projekt de har gjort och så ska vi ta några minuter för frågor på slutet. Jag hoppas det här blir en intressant halvtimme som vi håller oss till och passa på att lämna frågor i chatten så kanske vi hinner med dem. Hinner vi inte med dem så kommer vi definitivt att besvara dem via mail till alla deltagare i efterhand. Lite grann om oss på Ramen. Vi är ett företag som drog igång verksamheten redan 1945 då, och idag är vi 12 stycken. Vi jobbar både i Stockholm från huvudkontoret men även har vi en egen tillverkning i Fagersta. Vi säljer våra ventiler runt om i världen och vi omsätter ungefär 50 miljoner svenska. Det vi sysslar med är ju reglerventiler, processventiler och så vidare. Vi gör väldigt mycket tjänster som inom olika typer av ventilval och dimensionering. Vi gör service och underhåll av produkter. Ramen består ju då av våra egna märken som vi tillverkar själva, men vi är ju då stolta återförsäljare då av HEROSE, men även andra större varumärken inom processventiler. So, okay, I will hand over to Ralf, who is with us from all the way from Germany today. Good morning, Ralf.
Good morning, everybody.
So yeah, I leave the microphone to you and also the screen.
Yeah, I hope it works. Maybe Per, maybe you can confirm if you
Yes,
see my screen.
So I see your screen. It works fine.
Then good morning, everybody. Nice that you have taken the time for this webinar, and I hope I can give you some insights to the HEROSE portfolio for valves in the LNG application and in the LNG supply chain towards customers' application. Before we start with the topic, I would like to give you a little insight into the HEROSE company, and then we have a look into our product portfolio for the LNG application, and then in some service and reference details. And let's start with HEROSE, short introduction. It's only 3 slides, so don't be worried that I don't go into too many details. HEROSE is a family-owned German-based company. We are located near Hamburg, so between Hamburg and Lübeck. We have our headquarters in the city Bad Oldesloe. We celebrated about a year ago. We celebrated 150 years of company being in business. And in 2023, HEROSE produced around 550,000 valves. And with these valves, we produced a turnover of about 95 million euros. Meanwhile, our headquarters is in Bad Oldesloe, Germany, but meanwhile we have 5 production facilities globally in Australia, in India, in China, and 2 facilities in Germany. And we are, as a group, about 500 employees, and out of these 500, around 400 employees are working from Bad Oldesloe, Germany. Our main products or limits of use are valves ranging from DN10 up to DN200, so 8 inches is our largest globe valve. You can use our valves in liquid applications, steam and gases, or safety valves for granular and powdery products. And our pressure ranges go up from 0.5 bar set pressure up to 550 bar set pressure. And we are currently aiming also for a 1200 bar version for the high pressure storage of nitrogen. Just a quick overview, not going too much into the details, but our goal is to provide you with German-made but globally certified product. So you can use our safety valves, for example, in China, in UK, and you can use them in the United States. So if you are a OEM producing equipment, you can use our valves in your specification, and you just need to differ the different approvals for the export destination of your final product. HEROSE also invests a lot of money into marine classes approvals. So when you see here ABS, Lloyd's Register, or RENA, this was a big effort for us to go back into the marine industry with the LNG application on LNG fueled ships. And what is characterizing us is we operate a own test field. As you can see here in the slide, we have an intense quality observation and department. And I think every week, or latest every second week, we have auditors either from customers or from third parties in-house to have our quality systems and our processes being checked to either qualify us as a supplier, recertify us, or something similar. Since end of 2023, HEROSE is also holding a approval according ISO 14001, which is not mentioned here. I need to correct this. So this is in brief words about HEROSE as a company, and now I would like to go over a quick overview about the application of our products. So here you see the typical process chain for small scale LNG or bio-LNG. At the end of the day, the difference is only the source of the molecule, not really the process itself. You have a small-scale liquefaction plant. You have LNG distribution and storage. You have then the storage and distribution at the end user. This could be a LNG or LCNG fuel station when it goes to LNG vehicle fueling. Or you have regasification systems where you can either supply a smaller town or smaller village with gas supply via a small local grid, or you can inject this into consumption for example, electrical power generation. And in all these different steps, you can use the HEROSE valves, in which I will show you in a minute. So typically here, the liquefaction plant, the logistics, the storage and distribution, and here, before it becomes gas again, all there we talk about cryogenic application and liquid natural gas at very low temperatures, and this is HEROSE's expertise for our valves and our products, and I think our core competence. To give you a quick overview about the different applications and different references, maybe, so you see here a very sophisticated cruise ship, which is going to very remote locations, and this is a cruise ship also fueled with LNG, and the valves in these LNG fuel gas systems are supplied from company HEROSE. Then as an example, I think this one here, to be honest, is too large for our valves, but LNG liquefaction, so the process of getting the gas into a liquid phase in order to transport it to remote locations or from remote gas sources to the place of the consumption. In the distribution of these bulk liquid gases, here you see an example of a hydrogen trailer. You also need cryogenic valves, in this case then with the proper approvals for road transport. LNG filling stations need in the liquid phase also cryogenic valves to handle the different flow of media. And in the industrial air gases distribution, HEROSE is the #1 supplier to the gas industry for industrial gases, so argon, nitrogen, CO2, liquid CO2 in the distribution. And such a storage and regasification facility could look like you see on this picture here. And in fact, all major OEMs in Europe and also in other countries are relying on the quality of HEROSE valves and our know-how in making tight cryogenic valves. And I would like now to give you a short introduction about our portfolio. The majority is represented here with globe valves, and you see a manual variant and you see a pneumatic actuated variant for automatic control processes. As I said, sizes from DN10 to DN200. Normally the casted body here is PN50, and our temperature ranges go from -196 to +120, so sufficient for cryogenic application. And we provide a lot of variances for connections, and in fact, according to your customer's choice. Majority goes as you see it here in cryogenic application. Typically, the valves are welded to the pipes in order to avoid trouble with leakages in when pipes are changing length due to thermal expansion or shrinking. With these sizes, we can cover smaller LNG liquefaction plants, LNG logistics, and the regasification and the fuel station. So in the LNG logistic, you find these valves. Safety valves are of course also needed to protect the equipment against any overpressure. Here we have a size range from DN6 to DN50, and main material is stainless steel, and also here we cover the LNG supply chain towards the end user. In case you need larger flow capacities and different valve, you have different requirements in tightness and performance. You can also use cryogenic gate valves. The benefit is a gate valve DN25 if you wish to replace such a gate valve in respect of flow capacity with a normal globe valve as shown earlier. You would need a valve 2 DIN sizes larger to reach the same flow, because if you open this disc, the valve is almost open the full pipe diameter with no restriction in the flow. The globe valve has 2 times 90 degrees changes of the flow direction with certain flow restriction, and this will give you less flow through the valve. But here with this valve design, you also have only sealing into one direction, so the flow direction needs to be observed, and the pressure normally is always on the back side of the disc to push the disc towards the seat to improve the sealing performance. And you have a higher or larger valve body in order to move the disc out of the way. So it has both valves, also similar to ball valves. All 3 valve types have different benefits and advantages and disadvantages, and it really depends on the process needs what to choose. In these processes, you also want to avoid dirt accumulating in your systems, in your plants, and therefore HEROSE is also providing strainers. And if you look in detail, you will see it's the very same bodies. So we use the same bodies as we use for the globe valves to build such strainers, and therefore we have the very same size range, and these strainers can be used everywhere you want to avoid particles going into your system. So typically you do install such strainers at the entry points before it goes to sensitive pumps or sensitive safety valves where the particles can cause damages to your valuable equipment. Also based on the same bodies, we have check valves in our portfolio, and these check valves are using a small spring to keep the valve closed, to support the closing process, and also to support the orientation of the disc, so that we make sure that the disc is parallel to the seat and goes have a smooth and tight sealing purposes. Yeah, here we can avoid backflows towards pumps if you have a bypass line or something like this. So the application is also depending on the process needs. And temperature ranges and connections are, with all these 3 valves, valve types, globe valves, strainers, or check valves, are always the same variances as we use the same bodies. So I don't want to bother you now with repeating all the details again and again. Normally the opening pressure for these check valves is around 0.1 bar, so very little pressure difference will open the valve. And for those of you who do sizing of systems and so on, you need to put some attention to the required flow capacity compared to the CV value of the valve, because if the required flow capacity is much higher than the flow capacity of the actual selected valve, you may have very unstable working conditions, and the valve will start to open and close very frequent, and then you have a risk of damaging the valve seat. And so here you need to pay attention, and you should minimum, in our case and for our valves, select a valve that the actual required capacity is minimum 50% of the specific valve certified capacity according to the data sheet. here we had some experiences in the past where people, companies and plant designers have chosen larger valves in order to get the flow speed down. But with this, they got rid of one problem with the flow speed and very turbulent flow, and created another problem with hammering and chattering valves, and both is not good. So it needs to be sized right. Regarding this, what you have seen now is our, let's say, standard portfolio of valves, and what you see here is also further developments and designs available for more demanding applications. For example, fire safe design, where the valve has to undergo a test according to this ISO standard, where the valve is exposed for 30 minutes to an external fire. Then it has to be cooled down to cryogenic conditions again. And in both cases, it has to be tight, so that no further fuel is added to your maybe already existing disaster, and the valve keeps the LNG in the tank at least for a certain moment of time, as long as the sealings can withstand this temperature influence. And what we also do is, according to customer requirements, what you see here is, for example, a globe valve, where we added a cover for the first valve at the normal valve butt weld connection, and with this we create a second barrier around the pipe for measuring the quality of checking external or internal leakages of the LNG. This is very often used at ships, because especially on cruise ships, where you have maybe 3,000 passengers sitting on the ship and maybe 1,000 or 1,500 people of crew. So a little city traveling on these ships, and their submarine classes have very strict requirements for the safety of the first valves at the tank. I think, yeah, I have 2 minutes left, so it should be fine. What we as a company can provide together with Ramen to you is support in commissioning. We can do preventive maintenance and also maintenance service on demand on site if you wish. And of course, we hold a stock of parts, and we can ship these parts in a decent, fast shipping transit time to you, and have your plant up and running again as quick as possible. Here in this picture, you see our service technicians on board of a cruise ship, where we support the yard with the installation of the valve. Also, what we provide free of charge is a sizing software for our safety valves. There you can go into with your required parameters, and this software will help you to select the right safety valve size to make sure you have a proper function valve and a proper working hassle-free operation of your plant and correct protection. Some references for LNG is we supply, for example, Chart Industries, or companies like Gasum in the Nordics are using our valves to a certain extent, where we are the main supplier for cryogenic valves. So it's not talking. HEROSE is a specialist in cryogenic valves, and we are doing this since a long time. And LNG for us in the last 10, maybe 12 years just became another cryogenic fluid which our valves can handle, and they can handle them quite well. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will hand over back to Per and stop sharing my screen. And then I think we have some time left in case you have questions.
Tack, Ralf. Thank you very much. Thank you. Very interesting. Yes, did we get any questions in? I asked Lina to see if she could, if there were any questions.
No questions so far.
Okej, nej, men då tar vi och tackar Ralf för en spännande genomgång. Jag är också tacksam för alla typer av frågor. Det är bara att återkomma till mig. Det finns på min mailadress där som ni kan se. Och om det inte var något annat eller dyker upp någonting annat då, så kommer den här att spelas in och finnas tillgänglig i efterhand också. Så vi får tacka för oss och thank you very much Ralf for your presentation. Och önskar alla en trevlig dag. Tack så mycket. Hej då!